US and China trade barbs after another high-level meeting but say they want to keep talking. Washington, CNN. The US and China fought a war of words Monday as each side works to set the narrative after their latest testy senior-level meetings. A U.S. delegation led by the Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman met with Foreign Minister Wang Yi and other officials in Tianjin, China, a week after the Biden administration joined the international coalition to condemn China for its global cyber attacks. The State Department called the meetings frank and open. Diplomatic called for the skirmish and painted Beijing as an international outlier that is subverting international norms, listing China's genocide in Xinjiang and its refusal to cooperate with the international investigation into the origins of the coronavirus. The Deputy Secretary underscored that the United States welcomes the stiff competition between our countries and that we intend to continue to strengthen our own competitive hand, but that we do not seek conflict with China, State Department spokesman Ned Price said in a statement on Monday. Beijing, describing the talks as in-depth and frank, responded with a torrent and condemnation. Chinese officials expressed strong dissatisfaction with Washington's extremely dangerous China policy and accused it of hypocrisy on human rights. Confrontation. Chinese Foreign Minister spokesperson Zhao Lijiang said Chinese officials demanded that the U.S. immediately stop interfering in China's internal affairs, stop harming China's interests, and stop stepping on the red line, stop playing on the fire, and stop orchestrating group confrontation under the guise of values. Both countries are trying to gain an advantage as they struggle to manage the world's most important bilateral relationship and set the stage for the first leaders' meeting between President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping, expected at the G7 summit in October. Despite the assertive language, both sides expressed an interest in continued dialogue. The U.S. and China are in a period of strategic competition. Relations are overall going downhill, and that trend has continued through the talks today, said Neil Thomas, a China analyst at Eurasia Group, the political risk advisory and consulting firm. But the fact that both sides want to holding this meeting shows that both Biden and Xi Jinping still wants to put some kinds of floor beneath the deteriorating relations between because they both know this is the most important bilateral relationship in the world. It has significant consequences for global stability, for politics, for security, and economically. Speaking to the New York Times after her meetings, Sharma said, "On areas where we have common interests and there are great global interests, we had very substantive discussions, shared some ideas. We will have to see where that goes." Sharma's meetings in China followed on tour through Asia with stops in Japan, Korea, and Mongolia, and came as Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin visited Singapore and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken flew to India, all reflecting the importance the Biden administration is placing on China. The Deputy Secretary's trip to Tianjin marked the first senior-level meeting since the contentious meeting on March Alaska between Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and Wang and the senior officials from the People's Republic of China was partially caught on camera. The readout after Sharma's meetings signaled that the defeat in March not only remain unresolved but will continue to create friction going forward, particularly around the issues of human rights in the lead up to Beijing hosting the Winter Olympics and the international attempts to determine the origins of the coronavirus. The Deputy Secretary raises concerns in private, as we have in public, about the range of PRC actions that run counter to our values and interests and those of our allies and partners, and that undermine the international rules-based order, Price said in a statement. She raised our concerns about human rights, including Beijing's anti-democratic crackdown in Hong Kong, the ongoing genocide and crimes against humanity in Xinjiang, abuses in Tibet, and curtailing of media access and freedom of the press, Price continued. She also spoke about their concerns about Beijing's conduct in cyberspace across the Taiwan Strait and in the East and Asia-China Seas. Sharma's meeting came just days after China rejected the World Health Organization plan for the second page of the investigation into the origin of the coronavirus. The Deputy Secretary reiterated the concerns about the PRC's unwillingness to cooperate with the World Health Organization and although the second page investigation in the PRC into COVID-19's origins, Pride said, adding that Sharma also raised the issue of Americans and Canadians detained in China under exit bans and reminded PRC officials that the people are not bargaining chips. Chinese statement about Sharma's first meeting with Chinese Vice Foreign Minister Xie Peng said that the Vice Minister told Sharma the frayed U.S.-China relationship is due not to any of the issues Sharma raised, but to America's portrayal of China as the imagined enemy. Extremely dangerous. Many of Xi's other comments seems to be an attempt to flip U.S. criticism of Beijing. According to the statement, Xi also told Sharma that it is the U.S. that has abandoned the rules-based international order it helped created in the aftermath of World War II, but that China would like to build a new type of international relations built on respect. She also said the U.S. is in no position to lecture China on democracy and human rights, pointing to the American genocide of Native Americans and the U.S. military action, and said that the U.S. is the inventor and the patent and intellectual property owner of coercive diplomacy. Another criticism, Washington has often leveled at Beijing for its approach to smaller, full countries. During the long day of talks on Monday, spokesperson Zhao said at the regular news briefing that China had expressed its strong dissatisfaction with Washington's extremely dangerous China policy. But Zhao also added that the talks were in-depth and frank, and that was beneficial for the healthy development of China-U.S. relations. And Price, the State Department spokesman, that said that even as Sharma delivered her of China's actions. At the same time, the Deputy Secretary affirmed the importance of cooperation in areas of global interest such as the climate crisis, counter-narcotics, non-proliferation, and regional concerns, including North Korea, Iran, Afghanistan, and Burma. CNN's Beijing Bureau and Eric Chung in Hong Kong contributed to this report.